The session is recorded and it will be uploaded on YouTube in a day or two. So yeah, let's go. Mm. Can you see my screen? I hope you can. Okay, okay. Let's go. Okay, so we'll be making a weather app using React Native. So I'll go through the I'll go through very basics of it. So if even if it's your first encounter with the React Native technology, then even then it's fine. And if you have doubts along the way, please put them in the chat. I can read them and solve them. Okay, so I'm Deep Pomal. I'm the technical lead of GDSE Conestoga Waterloo campus. So these things are there on today's agenda. What is React Native? So let's just, instead of me speaking, we can just go through the docs and we can get a better idea of it. So React Native is a framework that helps us to create native apps for Android and iOS both using a same code base. And we use JavaScript for that. So the documentation for this React Native is really nice. So everything is perfectly organized and we can easily find our way through it. And it's not a new technology or developing one. Many big companies have already integrated in their products. So as you can see, Facebook, Instagram, Flipkart, Skype, Uber Eats, Tesla. So to set it up, so next thing is React Native CLI and Expo CLI. So there are two ways you can build React Native apps. So React Native CLI is the basic one that the React Native provides, but Expo is it's the same as it. We can build React Native apps through it, but it makes our work very easier. It's built around React Native and it uh, decreases all the redundant files and gives us just a simple version of a React Native code base. So as you can see, this is exposed documentation. So we can go through the docs and we can see. So first you would need to install the Expo. So this is the command. I have already installed it. The basic difference between Expo and React Native CLI is that in React Native CLI we also get iOS and Android folders. So suppose we want to access or create a very complex app that for that we would need to access native libraries for Android, like suppose for location or camera. We can create location with Expo as well, but I'm just saying that if we want to really create complex apps and need to access native libraries, then we would need to create the app using React Native CLI. But as it's a beginner session and Expo is very easy to get started with, so we'll just go through Expo. So this is how we can install it, and we'll go after you have installed. I have already installed it, so there's no point of me doing it again. Then you can create a new app using this Expo init my app. You can like name your app, and that's it. I'll show you once. Suppose we want to create a app in this directory. Open the terminal, Expo init, name your app, and it will show you four options: blank, TypeScript, tabs, minimal. But we can just go with blank. Oh, is my internet slow?
No, no. Actually, I am having some internet difficulties over here.
Okay,
It
okay.
is weekend. It is weekend. So sometimes they take a downtown actually.
Okay, okay, okay.
So that's why
Let me
I'm
know
actually.
if you have any
Yeah,
doubts. Yeah.
sure, sure. Yeah. Actually, I might just get connected actually. So that's why
Okay, okay,
disconnected.
no worries.
So I just put a message actually while I
Okay,
can.
okay. So that's it. That's your project is ready. You can just go through, like, you can go here and these are our files. So that's it.
So it is. So it will be put it on the YouTube, right? Or this
Yeah,
file
yes.
will be shared.
In a day or two, it will be on YouTube.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
No worries. So okay, so this was the app that I already created. It has no code, as we'll just go through it. Hmm, Close Discord. Okay, so here's the basic code. So as you can see, there are no Android or iOS folders. So those are for when we create React app with React Native CLI. And this is the file where we will do all our work here. We can choose a modular approach, or we can do like create folders for different things. But that's when we have a really big app or a very complex app, then we'll do that. But we can just start with this file. You can ignore everything else. I'll just explain one or two things, and then like if it's getting overwhelming, we can just focus on one file. So node modules. Node modules are your library folders. Whenever you so these are the libraries that come within, and whenever you uh, add a new library, that folder will go in the node modules part. Okay, sure. I'll zoom in. Mhm. How do I? Okay. Is this all right? Okay. No worries. So that's the basic app. So we'll just go through the core components of it. So if you have worked with if you have worked with web first or like an either HTML, CSS, or React, then you might have come across a component called div. So it's the same, but the name is different. The name is here view. That's the only difference. That's it. So as you can see, and okay, yeah. So how to run this? Expo is a beautiful thing in that way because you'll see we can run the project using Expo start. So in either iOS or Android Play Store, you can find Expo Go app. You can install it and come here and scan the QR code. The app will be automatically installed in your phone, and as you are working with your code, and when you press save, it will be automatically updated in your app, and you can see it live updating on your app in your phone without any wires or anything. That's it. That's all. You just have to install the Expo Go app and scan the QR code. But and so there are other ways to run the app as well. We can run it on web. We can run it on Android emulator. So that's what I'll be doing today. I'll be running on the emulator. For that, I just need to press A. Yeah. Okay. Our app is running right now, so we can go forward with it. So here it is. View, as I told, it's a div, or it's just you can imagine it as a container. So, and everything on React Native is a works on a Flexbox component, Flexbox principle. So suppose it has Flex 1. That means it will take the entire screen. Background color is white. Yeah, you can run it in the browser. That's fine as well. It will reflect the same as either emulator or your phone. Anything will work. Background color, as the name suggests, align items and justify content. So that's those are two very important properties of Flexbox. So you can center your elements using that. So I can do one thing. I'll change this. As you can see, it went down to the bottom of the screen. So justify content is for the like vertical. So there is something called flex direction. So the by default flex direction is column. So if we, yeah, so when we select flex end, it will go down to the bottom of the screen. When we select flex start, it will go to the top. And the same with align item. If we select flex start, it will start at the like horizontally at the start. That's why we can do center to both, and it will be at the center of the screen, center of the container. We will explore more about the flex direction here. So we can just get rid of this. To get to know more about view, we can do this. Create 3 more views. Yeah. So about the style. So we don't have to create a separate CSS file for this. We can just use the style sheet that comes with React Native inbuilt. So style sheet is basically this. You can create a constant variable style, which has the style sheet object, which has all the styles of the component. So container is this, and you can it's a bit different syntax than your normal CSS, but so like you'll have this instead of semicolons, it will be colons like this, commas, and between these different containers, there will also be a comma. That's all. You can get hang of it pretty soon. It's not that much difficult. You can also create an inline style using this. So suppose you want to create a view that has a flex one and has background color red. You can also either do this or do this, but I would suggest we can use the style sheet because that makes the code more readable. We'll create three separate divisions of the screen, so we can put our content of weather app in that. So we can do that using, we'll name it oh, the view, and we'll add a description view of the weather. Okay, so we can create an ratio. Suppose we want to create, I'll I'll keep this as 1, I'll keep this as 2, and then description view, I'll keep it at 2. You'll see soon how it differs. We can keep this as green. This as blue. As you can see, the parent container is the whole screen. Header view is just flex 1. 1 is to 3 is to 2 is the ratio of the screen. So background color red, green, and blue, right? So what I was talking about flex direction will come here. So flex direction by default is column, but we can also change it to row. So the entire content will be horizontal. For our current purposes, we need column. Then there, as you might know, there is H1, H2, H3 tags on HTML, but for text, we have, for any text, we have just the text tag, and we have to import it from React Native, as we imported view and style sheet. We can get rid of status bar for now. So we can add a title. We can give a bit of style to it. We'll remove the background colors to not make it look hideous. To center the title in our first container, we can use the same principles as here. Next, we'll go with the weather view. So now I'll introduce you to flat list. Flat list is, so there are two ways to display multiple items in the app. Either you can use flat list or scroll view. So scroll view is a good thing, but scroll view, what happens is when you use the scroll view, it loads all your items in one go. So if you have 5 to 10 items, it works. Your app works fine. But if you have like endless scrolling, like you when you want to implement a Instagram like app, or you have like shopping cart, so there are like hundreds and thousands of products, right? So you can't use scroll view with that because scroll view will load all thousand at a one go. So your app will crash immediately. So you can use flat list. What flat list does is it loads 10 to 15 items at once, then it mounts another 10 to 15 when they come on screen. So that way it like endless scroll can be implemented using flat list only. So we'll keep this in every view because we want everything in the center. So flat list is a self-closing tile, and it has three major components. Data. We'll create some data here. Dummy data for now. You can pass that data in here. Then it has render item. For each item, how should it look and how what JSX we need to involve in that, that comes here. So for how each item will look, that goes here. So we'll have just a render item method. We can declare it here using arrow function. You can return this JSX. So for simplicity purposes, I'm not giving any style to it as of now. We also need to destructure. So what it does is it goes through this whole list, and render item takes this item and it displays this. So everything will be about a single item and how it should be displayed. So this is how we destructure it. So this item will have this data. You can just put item dot title here and key extractor. So every item should have a key, a unique key to it. So what we can do is we already have ID, which is different. So we can just pass that to it. We'll also pass key here. Right. As you can see, we can see our flat list here. Hi, hello, bye, right? There's also a very beneficial parameter to it. We can create a horizontal list as well. We just have to put horizontal is true. That's it. Now we will create cards for our weather app, and then we can use like integrate API in it. So we'll just do that. Okay. So we can create a fixed width and height for it. If you have any other design in your mind, please let me know. I can do that as well. I'm not really good at design to come up with it. You can copy one, but yeah. So height width, we can add a border as well. So for border, we have to put border width. You can put it 2 for now. Border color, you can put a gray. So here are the cards. We also can put margin horizontal. So it gives margin to both left and right side of the card to the view. So we can put 10 as of now. Yeah, looks all right. We can also put border radius. So currently we have sharp edges. So using this, it looks a bit good. Can also do center our elements. Yeah, there we go. We can add more items to it, so you can see the list properly. Here it is. This is how it works. It's that simple. Then we can go forward with our uh, React hooks. So there's something called hooks. So there are two hooks that we'll be discussing today: use state and use effect. So for that we need to import it, use effect and use state from React. Okay. So use state will go forward with. So use state is nothing but to uh, store a variable, and it also gets a setter method. So we have a constant variables, for example, mm, where, and we also have to give it a setter method like set where. That's the normal, usual syntax how we do it. Not syntax, but standard how we do it. You can set it anything, like you can name it anything, set my where or where value, anything you can do. But the usual standard is set and whatever the name of the variable. So set where, then we will use state. In use state, the default item will go. That is, wait a second, I think I did a mistake. Okay, okay. We can't use where. Where is a inbuilt term. So set item, set item. And use state, and in use state's argument, it goes your default value of item. So we can use either hello, and you can display it here. And to display a dynamic value, suppose we use just weather forecast as it is. So, but suppose we want to use item, we'll pass it in curly brackets. Item. Here it comes, hello. But we can, for now, we'll just pass it empty. So that's use state. Now, use effect. Use effect is a method that runs whenever the screen has loaded or whenever uh, the state has updated. So I suppose we click on a button or click on anything, or we refresh to pull to refresh. So anything, all those things do a update on state. So whenever the state update is there, use effect runs. Or whenever the screen loads for the first time, use effect runs. So that's a very helpful and very important method. So in it, we will pass a function, arrow function. So that's the first parameter of use effect. The second is very important one. The second is an array of things that you need to pass, and only then the use effect will run. Suppose we want to call an API, right? When the screen loads, but we don't want to call it every time on a state update or when every time a screen is there, or on whenever it's pulled to refresh or anything. We just want to call it when the screen loads. That's it. Just the once when the screen is mounted on the app. So for that, we'll just pass the empty array. Suppose we have a condition that is user signed in. We can make a variable here and add a condition there. And suppose the user is signed in, only then the use effect will run. Otherwise, the use effect it will not run, right? So that's a very useful parameter of it. So we'll just pass empty array. So the use effect will run only once when the app is loaded. You can see. So for either here at the bottom in the terminal, we can get the console, or there's another neat trick. We can press D and we can get our developer tools in the browser. Just a second, it will open. Yeah, here it is. As you can see, hello is printed. You can print any other thing as well. Whenever the screen is refreshed, use effect will run and whatever in it will get executed. So that's use state and use effect. So for simplicity, we'll go with a very simple app. Okay, where is it? Okay, yeah. Oh, by the way, here's the link. I'll send it in chat. Whatever we do it today, I'll push it to this repo and you can clone it or make it a more complex app or whatever you want to do with it. So here it is. I'll send the link in the chat. So we will use, for now, we will use JSON placeholder API. It's a very simple one. As you can see, the responses are just 4 items in one item, and that's all. There are, I think, 100 posts. So you can just copy this and so we'll make a new function for to call the API. So for API call, we can either use fetch or Axios. Axios is a complex one. We can pass headers in it. We can also pass headers in fetch as well, but Axios is used in a production level. But fetch we can use for to like just understand how to implement the API as of now. So we will name our function zero function fetch. We'll pass the link. It will take the response. We will get object response, and then we want to convert it to JSON. So we'll do that. And again, in the next, then we'll get the JSON response, and using that we can do whatever with it. So for now, we can just print it in the console. We'll just print one. And we need to call this in the use effect. So as you can see in the console, the object is printed. The only one post. We can traverse through it using JSON. So we can either do this JSON dot title, right? JSON dot title, and we will get just the title. So that way, it's very simple to call the API using fetch. Now we can move towards the weather API. So we'll use OpenWeather map. I can send the link as well for this in the chat. Let me know if you have any doubts till now. Okay. So this is the API. So this is a very simple one. So this is the link to, there are multiple things as we can see here. We go to API. So there are multiple things we can do with it. return to the flat list. Okay, okay, sure. So flat list is nothing but a list. So we can display multiple things using flat list. So suppose there are keep Instagram as an example. So for our Instagram, we want to display hundreds of posts in a list. So we can use flat list for that. We can also use scroll view for that. You might you might have seen that in other tutorials or somewhere else. But what scroll view does is scroll view loads every 100 posts in a go. So what happens is when it makes 100, like it loads 100 photos and 100 text and 100 different components in a go, the app uses like huge chunk of memory and it crashes or it runs really slow, which is very frustrating for the user. So for that purpose, flatlist was created. So flatlist only loads the 10 or 15 that are presented on the screen, and then as you scroll down, other 10 will be mounted on it, and the previous 10 will be discarded. So flatlist, we have to import it from React Native here, and it's a self-closing tag. It has three major inputs. So first is data. What data will be passed through it? So we just created a dummy data, sample data. It has an array with like JSON like items. So ID, title, 5 items that way. Then another thing is render item. So how should we display a single item on the app? Render item takes care of that. So render item will have this function. It's a function. But in React Native, we can just put it like this. So as you like control and click on it, you can go through it and you can see it returns the JSX, right? So render item has item. So it destructures the data. What happens is for every item, this will be passed. Entire array is not passed. For every item, only this much will be passed. And that we can destructure using the curly brackets. We can use any name for it, but we have to use the curly brackets in the argument section. Then we have to return because we are returning the JSX. Otherwise, it will not be displayed. In return, we will use the view, the div. If you have used web, then in that we have a text, and in text, because it's dynamic, we have to use it in curly bracket item dot title. So this will be accessed and will be displayed. In view, we have to add a key element. It's not an error if you don't add a key, but it gives us a warning, and it's a good practice to add key to a unique key to each item in the list. So we use that. And style is how we style the weather item. You can see it here. So the box you can see was styled here. So it has height 120 with 120 border 1, border color gray, margin horizontal is left and right both, border radius 5, and to center the element, center the items we use this too. Okay. Then so okay, I think that clears up. Okay, now we'll go to the weather. So yeah, so we have like 7 to 8 different APIs. Some are paid, some are free. So we'll use the one call API for now. So it's just this link, this API we have to include in our code where we use the fetch before. So these are the parts that we have to put ours. So we'll use the latitude and longitude that were provided here only. We can just copy this and paste it in place of this. Okay, now we need the daily thing. So we don't want to exclude daily. We can exclude hourly and minutely. So it gives an hourly data of weather and minutely data of weather. We don't need those things right now, and we need simplicity for now. So we'll just exclude. So we won't get these two things in our response. Then we need API key. So I already have an API key, but if you want, you can just create an account using either Google or email or whatever they have, and you'll get an API key. We'll use that in place of this. Yeah, that's all I think. Then we'll get this data, the response they have already given here. So this is the response that we will be getting. So to access it, we can see we want to access the daily thing, right? So we will just go here. So it works same. When we call this API, we get a response object. We extract the JSON from response object using the response.json, and using that JSON, we can do anything with it. For now, we can just console it. So for the whole JSON data we don't want to see, so we'll just console the daily thing. So as you can see in the developer tool, the daily data has been consoled. So daily is, I think it includes today as well. So today and the next 7 days, it forecasts the weather for those latitude and longitudes. I don't know what places are there, but it was there, so I just copy pasted it. You can also use either your place, or when you get good with the tech, the environment here, you can also use location. So you can do one thing. You can integrate the location part in your app, and then when the app loads, it will ask for a location permission. You can click yes, and then it will automatically take your latitude and longitudes, and will show you the weather of the current place, current city where you're in. For now, we'll just use the hard-coded lets and longs. So we have the daily data. Now we will set the daily data to a variable, right? So I'll just rename this set data, and instead of a string, I'll pass an empty array, because the entire data is an array, and I would like to pass it as array, because I'll pass that data in this flat list, so we can display weather of multiple days. So yeah, that's it. We can, instead of console log, let's hope this works. Okay, item is not. Yeah. So instead of data, we'll just pass data, just this. It will automatically access this path. And we can delete this if we don't need it right now. So we'll just go here. Okay. So item is not. So I think it's talking about this, as the previous sample data had the item, but this doesn't have. So what we can do for ID, we'll go through it. We can use DT. I think DT is unique to everything, every day. Yeah, I think we can use DT. So instead of item, we'll use data dot DT. Does this work? And for text, we can use, for now, we can go to temp. So if you know how to pass through JSON, that's like easy. So this is the object. Suppose this is the object of one single day, and we want to display the temperature, right? So object, and in that we have temp. So we'll do item dot temp dot. In that temp, also we have day, eve, max, min, morning, night. We'll use the day for now and pass the day. Right. Comment for now. Let's see. Mhm. I'll have to find it. Oh, no, it would be a very silly mistake. So yeah, the item, we don't have anything. So just pass our example text. Oh, yeah, we don't have a key. So it will, as you can see, when we haven't add, when we didn't add the key, it will provide a warning. So it has like, make sure to specify key or ID property on each item using the key extract. Because we commented that, it gives us that warning, but now it should not. It doesn't. Okay. So we can also change the metric of it. You can go to the API page. You can use units and you can change it to metric. You can go here, add another end, and using that unit is equal to metric. So yeah, metric or wait, units. So that's why. Yeah. So now it's converted to metric system, which is clearly better. Uh, what do you want to see, Ashraf? So like, I can do Alt C, but for what? Let me know. Okay. Just do this so you can see more of the screen. Is that fine? Alt Z is a another function for me, so it won't work. So I think this will work. So it's I can do one thing, right? Wait, no, I can't. We won't need this anyway for now. So it's basically whatever we copy pasted from here, and then just we added this part. We added this. That's all. Because we wanted to convert it to metric system. That's all. That's all we did. Okay. So we have the data here. So we can play around with it. We can see what else we have here. So I think we also have an icon. Yes, we have icon and a description for the day. We can see how to find that. Yeah, how to get icon. So they have their own API, and for the icons, we can use that. So for that, we will need images. So we also have to import image from React Native, from which we can display the image here. So let me get up the API. Yeah, so here it is. So right above the text, we can, it's a self-closing tag as well. So image, so we'll pass it in source, and again in curly bracket we will pass URI. So the URI we have here is this one. So it's we already get the name of the icon in each item. So we have to manage it accordingly. So we'll just make that dynamic using this. So instead of 10D, we'll use item as you can see here. It shows here. So in this daily thing for a day, this is for one day, right? So in that we have weather array, and in that array we have icon. So that way we'll pass it through JSON. So item or weather, it's an array, so we'll have to pass the first element, and in that element we had icon. So currently it will not display as the image doesn't have any height or width. We have to style it. So we'll, just like every other element, we can use styles dot with we can give 100, not 100. The height of card was 100 as well. I think we can give it a 70 with 70. That should work. Yeah. So as you can see, using that API, in the image, the images are displayed here. Already looks cool, doesn't it? We can get rid of this horizontal bar using horizontal bar indicator false. Yeah, it's gone. Then I think we can also add a description here. Suppose we click on each item, we can get the data of each day and display it here. So for that, we need to make it clickable, this item. For that, we need to import touchable opacity. Consider it as a button, but it's not exactly a button. You'll see what it is. So we can't click a view. We can't pass a on press method on view. Views are just for display. So we need to replace it with touchable opacity. So as you can see, it's clickable right now. Every item will be is clickable, and we can also pass what we need to do when we click on it. So we can pass the onFresh method. In that, we'll pass a function. We can name it handle whether item press, and we can pass this item in that. So when we can access that in our method. So we'll just create another method here. Const handle whether item press arrow function item. Okay. We'll create another variable for it. So const, because we need to store the data of one day. Currently this has the data of entire week, but we need to store it on one day when we click on this, right? So we'll make a variable selected day, make a set a method, so that set selected day, use state, and we'll pass empty array. Here we'll just pass set selected day item. It should work, but we can test it using here. So now we can access this and see if it works. Set selected day, it was the same as daily, so we can just pass it to 10. What did we do here? So we can just copy paste this. Item. Yeah. So selected day, the current day that we selected, in it we will have 10, and in that we will have day. So it should display the current temperature when we select on multiple days. Okay, so currently it doesn't have anything, so we can pass this, or we can do one more thing. We can pass this. So what this means is, wait a second. Yeah. So what this means is we haven't selected anything. So this selected day entire array is empty. So that's why we can't pass through the temp and day. What question mark does is it checks. It's like a operator, like if or else operator. So it checks if it's there, if selected day dot temp dot day is there. If it's not there, it will just pass a empty string. But instead of this, we can do a simpler thing. We can can we do this? When you pass the first item of it, yeah, this is better. We can't. I don't think we can do this. We'll have to do it some other way, but we can just go forward with it. So when we click on the card, it will display the weather of that. When we click on this, it will be displayed this. Scroll, click on the last one, it will be changed as that. Because on click, it will change the selected day variable. So we can display multiple things here. What do you want to display? You can suggest anything from the daily part from this. You can display description. You can also display sunrise, sunset time, feels like, pressure, humidity. Yeah, we'll do something. Let's see. So we'll create a view for that. We'll create rows so using Flexbox. So this will have row 1. You can create a view for each item. So this goes here. You can add another text as title. So you can add highest. Weather max. Yeah. So we can use max for this. So it will display the maximum temperature that might go this day. On this date might go 24.85, right? So we can style this somehow. Can make it bold, font, right? Font weight. Size 16. Let's see. Try centering this. Oh. We can also style this. Selected day, style. We can keep this as 14. Can give a margin to it. Then align it to center. Okay, looks nice. We can pass. Okay, so that's one element in it. We can pass another one as well, which has lowest. You can access it to me, through me. Yeah. Okay, so now currently this thing, this row 1, it's the entire row, that's the parent of these two elements, that has nothing set. So it will be as center, it will be as, wait a second, we can use background color for clarity. So it's center because its parent has set it as center, right? You can use this width so that, oh wait, can't use that way. Yeah. So it takes the entire screen, and now we want to spread out the elements evenly. So for that, we can do justify content. Justify. So because it's row, the justify content has switched to a horizontal axis. When it was a column, the justify content was setting the vertical axis elements, right? So now we have to change the justify content to space around. What it does is it spreads out the elements evenly. There's another thing as well that's called space between. So that just sets the element at the edges. Suppose we have four, then it takes equal spaces between all four elements from the edges, but space around looks better here. We use that and just remove this. We can pass a description to it. Another row. In this, we will pass using this text thing. We can pass a description. For that, we'll need curly brackets. Item, not item, sorry, selected day dot. I'll have to see weather is an array, so we'll have to access it using this and description. Light rain, we can make it a row here. We can also add margin between the rows. So instead of row 1, I'll just switch it to row. Margin vertical. Margin vertical gives margin to top and bottom both. So that's a nice thing. We can pass it 15. And what else? We can pass one more row with some other element. Okay. Instead of highest and lowest, we can pass something else as well. I think we can pass pressure. Or wind speed. We can pass humidity. Then pressure. Let's do this. So instead of temp, now we can access it directly from here. Let's see how does it look. Yeah, looks all right. We can center the list. This. Okay, wait. Yeah, now it's all right. It went into a zoom mode. We can press Control and Z, so it can zoom if you want to zoom the emulator. Okay, so I was doing, yeah. So the parent of the flat list, we can make the flat list come in the center of the parent, right? So it's already there. So I think flat list has its own thing. We can container style. It has its own style. We can just pass it through here only. Justify content center. Align items center. Yeah, so it's here. Now we can see As you click on the first, it's clear sky, lowest and highest has changed. Humidity and pressure is different. You can click on the third. It has light rain predicted. You can go on the last. I think it was a different one. It has overcast clouds, highest and lowest pressure, humidity. So yeah, I think that's about it. Any doubts, or should I explain anything again, or suggest something more to it? Please let me know in the chat. I'll push this code in the meanwhile. Mhm. Yeah. So I have sent the link of the repo, right? Yeah. So it's there. You can go through it, play around a bit. You know the API. You'll just need to create your own API key. Just go to here, openweathermap.org and log in, create your account, and you can get an API key free. So I think you can get in a free account you can get 100 calls per day or something like that, which is very generous of them. We don't even need those many calls. You can play around. There are many things here. There are many APIs over here as well. So when you go to API, you can get current data, 16 focus of 16 data, or you can also get historic data and make an analysis of some sort of like that. And also you can integrate a location thing. Like, so suppose whenever a user opens the app, it should take the user's location and show the current data, like forecasting of 7 days of their location. That can be possible. Yeah, so historic data till 40 years, so we can get. It's a good API you can use, and send me an app link if you have played around and made a good enough app. Let me know. So I think that's all. Any questions? Thank you, Ashraf. Hope you enjoyed it and learned something. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, then I think that's it. If there's nothing else, I'll just share. Okay, then have a good day. See you soon. Do check out other workshops in the Discord channel of GDSE. Thank you. Okay, bye bye. Thank you.